This is how I feel about Michael Burry's recent GameStop stock blunder.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
My heart is broken. Well, that's a little bit extreme, but for anybody who's on the wrong side of this GameStop situation, will be absolutely feeling his pain. And if you're not sure what real pain is, then sit tight, because it's about to get hella depressing in here. So this man, Michael Burry, who I've been talking a lot about on the channel lately, so you're probably sick of hearing it from me, but he almost pulled off one of the best and biggest plays in modern financial history. He was able to sniff an opportunity from a mile away that almost nobody on the planet saw coming. But he made one massive blunder that's sure to leave a sour taste in your mouth. So for those of you who don't know, I'm going to quickly bring you up to speed. Firstly, Michael Burry is the real person who Christian Bale's character in The Big Short was based on. Burry famously bet against America's housing system in 2007 when he predicted that a rise in interest rates would cause millions of Americans to default on their loans. Something that had never happened in America's entire history, and yet he saw an opportunity, short the housing system, cashed in big to the tune of $800 million for his company and $100 million for himself. And now was time for his next big play, and yeah, it was a big one. In comes GameStop. And again, a very quick refresher course. Basically, GameStop is a gaming retailer who's behind the times and unable to keep up during the new digital age, much like Blockbuster was in recent years. Until Michael Burry recognized that people were undervaluing the company back in September 2019. Shortly after, a few big-time companies and investors started to agree and invested in GameStop. And then the games begun, with Wall Street bets recognizing that there was an opportunity for a short squeeze that would force short sellers to buy back the stock they were shorting and drive up the price. Long story short, GameStop fast became a classic story of David vs Goliath, the people versus the system, and for a little while there, the people won, but only for a little while. Since that massive run-up that you can see here, you can also see right next to it a massive drop-off. Now, Michael Burry wasn't steering the ship for GameStop, and in fact, he was just an innocent bystander, someone who was investing for what he thought were the right reasons because he thought that the company was undervalued by the people. I don't think Michael Burry anticipated a short squeeze back in 2019 when he started investing. I think that was just a massive fluke. Instead, he still felt that the company had something to offer and was undervalued because people were still going to be buying games on disc as long as the consoles still had a disc slot. And yet corporate investors as well as the public saw absolutely no value in GameStop, which he thought was a good opportunity. And he was right, but I don't know if he was right for all the right reasons and definitely not to the extent that he was expecting. And that's where the Wall Street Bets rebellion began. Reddit users rose up against the Death Star, or you know, Wall Street. They bought stock in GameStop, bought call options, and stuck to their guns, never selling their positions, forcing a short squeeze. And once that squeeze actually came to fruition, the stock price went up nearly 3,000% in the 3 months immediately following. And through all that drama, we thought Michael Burry was absolutely fine. He had $1.7 million of GameStop stock valued at over $17 million. All he had to do was ride the roller coaster all the way to the tippy top and sell, and he would have been sitting very pretty with plenty of squillions in his bank account. And yet, pause for dramatic effect, he didn't do that. And this is where the story starts to take a very, very sad shape. Can an emotion even be a shape? I don't know. I'm going with it. If we go back to Q3 2019, he was very actively buying and selling stock as it rose and dropped before deciding to hold 1.7 million shares in Q3 2021. And at that time, GameStop was around $10 a share. But the sad reality is he did not get to experience any of that. Instead, Burry sold his entire position at some point in Q4 of 2020, which means that at best, he would have sold his position at around $20 a share. Now, to put that into perspective for you so you can really feel his pain, and believe me, it's a sharp, acute pain. If he sold at its high of $480 in late January 2021, he would have made a cool $800 million. Not only would he have made $800 million if he managed to sell it at the tippy top, let's just assume that's impossible, and he just held his 1.7 million shares. Right now, they would be worth $70 million. But instead, he sold likely at around $20, which leaves his profits at still a very nice $34 million. But what could have been? It was literally a case of bad luck timing, and clearly he didn't anticipate that it was going to reach quite the heights that it did. I don't think he knew it was going to take off to such an extent. But basically, the man who in the past seems like he's been looking into a crystal ball to make his decisions missed out on about a 1,500% run-up. Oh man, any of us investors can feel that pain. That is just, you do not want to be in that situation. Even though he made good money, that would still hurt a hell of a lot more than the money you made. For some reason, we're weird like that. But it's not all doom and gloom. He still did very, very well. Like I said before, he bought and sold GameStop stock quite a few times and cashed in big on each of those occasions, and he did end up selling still a lot higher than what he paid. So he probably tripled or even more than tripled his money over the journey. But what could have been? What could have been? Do you know what fascinates me the most about this is not only did he miss out on an enormous opportunity, but he's not dwelling on it. Since then, he's made at least 9 different trades on different companies. He's still actively moving around his positions. It's remarkable. It's almost like a blip on his radar didn't make a difference to him, and we can learn a lot from that. It is incredibly hard for us to keep our emotions out of it. When stocks are flying, we get FOMO and we buy in. When stocks are plummeting, we get terrified and we sell stocks. And it's the worst way to trade shares. It's the opposite of what you're going for, and yet it's very hard to avoid. And here's Michael Burry missing out on potentially $750 million, and he's making other trades like nothing ever happened. We have a lot to learn from that man, even though he didn't quite nail this one. All right, guys, just a quick one for you today. I wanted to keep you up to date on this situation because it is wild, and while it did have an unsatisfying ending, it was still a hell of a roller coaster ride. Do me a favor, like this video if you do enjoy it, and if you want to see more from me in the future, hit that subscribe button and help grow this channel into a beast. I'll catch you next time. See ya!